Yeah, I enjoyed the museum a lot. It was I heard about it for years. It never came, and like the Cleveland Indians, this the Rock and Roll Museum is like stadium is beautiful. The museum is really is worth the time, and it gives me a sense of the roots of rock and roll, without getting into all the idiosyncrasies of all the different groups. You know, what is good is the films, the clips of the black and white clips, the sense of the black, the rhythm and blues, the old time South, and how that kind of morphs into Memphis, and then how Memphis kind of comes up to Detroit, and you follow it, and you see these guys, and it's wonderful to see the music and the women too. And it's by the time I come into the picture, it's 1960s with the Motown, which I heard for the first time in Vietnam, actually, because all the black soldiers were playing it. Didn't know who these people were, but when you hear the Temptations and the Supremes, you're never quite the same. And Sam Cooke, Smokey Robinson. Anyway, it was a pleasure to go back in time. Nice collection, nicely done. You know, pop culture has been so celebrated now that we lose perspective, but it is important to keep track of it. And pop culture, because it becomes a phenomenon in magazines for a week or two or a year or two, time goes by and then they're on to the next thing. So what is lost is the history, the perspective of history, and that's what a museum always gives us. And it's important to keep these archives, these documents, the clothes, the guitars, if you want, film clips are so important, and a sense of the time. So the younger generation, because soon it's going to be gone, and the younger generation comes, they don't know anything about it. So it's true about everything in our culture. The problem with America is we trash everything. You know, pretty much we get bored and we trash it. But that's what. And I remember a time when this music was being trashed. I mean, what struck me at the museum again, and struck me back then, was the conservatives and how much they hated new music. We mustn't forget that Jim Morrison went to jail repeatedly for pushing the barriers, as did many others. I would imagine when the first black man started to sing in white places about sex and about rock and roll, that he must have pushed a lot of buttons, especially in the South. And what amazes me is that the black people were so good at avoiding, by using nuance and by using metaphor, they were always able to not offend the sensibilities of the white. But you have time and again, you have this, and it brings up the question of why, if music is always advanced ahead of our social consciousness, you know, whether it's Elvis Presley or actually, you know, Muddy Waters or the Motown scene, why when we're having such great liberating music, does our political establishment not get it? Why do they go the other way? Why, during the time when we have the most liberating music in the world in the 1960s, do we go to Vietnam and fight this ridiculous war and not even think back about it? Why does Ronald Reagan look at these people and wonder if there's a plot that these music people are putting on the country? Why? It makes you think about, because music is supposed to transcend. You know, movies always get stuck in because you can always be concrete with a movie and say, stop it, censor it, give it an R rating. But with the music, it's so much more difficult. It's fluid, and it's like water. It flows through the cracks. So you wonder, how come music doesn't affect our system more? I know that you're not supposed to by tradition, but at the same time, Morrison did, and many of the leaders in rock and roll did. They criticized, they pushed the edges, but they did it using the beauty of music.